would like to address all of you with one question from our online audience. The question was originally to Vello, but I think that all of you can answer that. So, what is one important lesson about ethnic minority integration from Germany to Estonia? Conversely, what is a significant lesson from Estonia to Germany in the same context? And I think that in terms of other countries, you could also give recommendations to Estonia. So, but I think that we can start with Vello and then...
Thank you very much, and thank you for the question. I suppose the first thing I would do is reiterate what I was saying before in relation to minority language education in the German and Danish border region. I think that's the strongest comparable element that we can take away from there in relation to some of the educational challenges that face Estonia and Latvia. So I would again underscore that opportunity to learn more. And I must admit, I feel that I should have added into my presentation more details about how those educational systems work there in relation to ensuring minority language education, whilst also making sure that there is state language competence. So those kinds of dynamics I would definitely look into in the case of Germany. And maybe I quickly add that of course this is the focus that I've had in my presentation, namely that in relation to national minorities. And so that is also what the European Center for Minority Issues works on. We do not actually focus on refugee, migrant, or immigration issues. And in that respect, I think it also it has all the more relevance for Estonia because a lot of the policy debate is around the ways in which we can accommodate national minorities. However, yes, there are also now refugee and migrant populations in Estonia and immigrant populations, and that has been a major focus of this conference and of the foundation. So I think that where Estonia has worked particularly on refugee questions recently from Ukraine, those would be elements that we can bring back to Germany, and I've been very grateful to hear about the other indices and policy tools that I will look up and read also in Estonian, but perhaps in English or maybe even in German to pass on. So thank you.
So anyone? How about Sweden? Recommendations for Estonia?
Well, I mean, what I can say, what we have been observing, in all three Baltic countries, that perhaps this situation, where the Ukrainian situation response, this is where all three countries, they are moving from this, quite fragmented model of integration by supporting NGOs and outsourcing NGOs to do the integration work towards the mainstreaming integration services to the municipalities. And I think this is great practice that we have been observing in Estonia, and Estonia, I would say, did very well. And I would say that, this is, like 10 years ago, if I would have given you the question that, you should welcome 40,000 refugees, you would say, no way, it will never happen. And it happened in a quite holistic way. So the question now is, how to maintain this institutional memory to really try to use the same approach, the same tools for the other population groups, vulnerable population groups, yeah, because, following the economic logic of public policy making, if you're investing something in a system, you want that the system would work for everyone and in the longer run. Yeah? So I think this is where Estonia goes to the very right direction with the mainstreaming, I would say. So, yeah.
Thank you. Alexander.
I actually would chime in what you said before about participation, because participation generally is the weakest element of integration policies in most countries. And I think everything needs to be supported that would help to build civic spaces, maintain civic spaces, support the self-organization of migrant-led organizations, bring them into decision-making processes, and then, up this participation ladder to the stage where it's really about co-decision, co-design of policies. I recently had a fascinating presentation of a migrant-led organization where they turned this pyramid around about how do we as migrants actually feel at these different stages of the participation ladder. And basically, when it's only about information and simply consultation about policy concepts that are already drafted and designed, it's often just a feeling of tokenism, checking the box, feeling extracted, information just provided without any reimbursement. And it's only at these higher levels of participation where people really feel respected and fully involved. And I think everything that can be learned from other countries, what works well, you mentioned examples, would be very helpful.
Thank you.
I'm not the fully expert of the whole process of the integration for the migrated population, but if it makes sense to say something about the inside of the classroom, what we are experiencing with the students and the children in our region, I strongly propose to get them feel themselves a part of our communities in an activity-based solutions that we are implementing in general in our some social activities, sometimes in the clubs. I mean, the main activities which is different than the academical activities inside the classes, is much more valuable for them to get them feel themselves as a part of our community. I'm in the clubs, I'm in the social activities. I mean, other kinds of interaction between the peers is much more than valuable when we match the rest of the activities that we are managing inside the classroom. So get them feel themselves much more active in interaction with the peers to get them more social, get them more interactive in the clubs.
Thank you so much. I think that everybody will agree with me that those 2 hours have just flown like one moment. And I would like to thank my panel for their generosity with their time and their knowledge. And I would like to thank all of you for coming, for listening, and for asking questions, and for being part of this very important debate. Thank you so much.